Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.
Now, did anyone watch Kevin Backhurst on the news on RTE 6-1 News tonight? Not that I make a habit of watching 6-1 News lately, but I did watch it to watch this particular interview because I was interested in what Kevin Backhurst had to say because we knew we were talking about it tonight. And he was all, thank you, yes, smile, yes, because we're looking for money, and yes, to the newsreader, who, in fairness, she did grill him a little bit, okay, particularly about, the layoffs and the redundancies. But anyway, as soon as the interview was finished, it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. She went, thank you very much indeed for joining us, Kevin Backhurst, DG of RTE. And the camera didn't go off him, straight back to her. And he went from having, thank you, and he froze, a real professional on telly, like a smiley face, to he thought the camera was off him, and he put on this really angry looking face, like, I hate you, why did you ask me all those questions, you work for me. So it was, you could see it in his face. So if you get a chance, play it back. I thought it was really interesting. Anyway, as you will have heard today, RTE is getting a bailout. A whopping 16 million in the coming few weeks and a further 40 million euro to follow next year. Seems like an unusual way to reprimand the national broadcaster. Anyway, it's not all good news for RTE. As Taoiseach Leo Varadkar said, the funding will be given as long as reforms are brought into place. I believe that when I see it. Leo Varadkar, by the way, said public service broadcasting, local media and balanced news is more important than ever, particularly with the level of misinformation, disinformation and democracy under threat all over the democratic world. He says that. He has a cheek with some of the shite that comes out of RTE, in fairness, to be fair. I mean, there's a whole programme tomorrow night dedicated to what it's going to be like in 50 years. Climate change. Mark Little and some other young one talking about climate change and how we're all going to die. I don't know. I mean, realistically, they don't have a crystal ball. They don't know what's going to happen in 50 years. It's like, the end is nigh. Anyway, so, and nobody to challenge it. Absolutely nobody. Like, they won't have another expert on the show to say, well, look, this is all conjecture. It's a hypothesis. We don't know for sure if that's the case. No, this is the way it's going to happen. Anyway, is that meant to be impartial and balanced? No, it's not. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about it because I'll just get myself all angry. So it's like when you were young and you were told you would get a new pair of shoes so long as you ate your dinner and you were nice to your sister. That's kind of what they're doing, isn't it? Okay, we'll give you the 46 or 56 million, okay? Just be nice to your sister. And this comes as the broadcaster published its strategic vision, which includes, by the way, 400 redundancies. Now, he did say they'd be voluntary redundancy. He was asked the question, what happens if people don't volunteer? And he did say there would probably be around 150 people retiring anyway. Those jobs won't be replaced. And he did say they did in the last tranche of this, going back a few years ago, 200 people made application for redundancies. That at least still leaves you about 100 people shy or so. So, realistically, I don't know. He said he didn't want to force redundancies on people and he didn't want to have that conversation. Anyway, a number of services reduced and axing of some of the digital radio channels. They did mention Fair City, by the way, but he wouldn't be drawn into what's going on. He said over the next 2 days, they'd be looking at individual shows to maybe put them out to a third-party production company or something like that. I mean, does anyone watch Fair City? I've been subjected to it once or twice, but has anyone ever watched it? It's one of those shows you it's cheap. Don't you? You just know that it's cheap. Thanks, Jane. As my phone dings in the background, you just know it's cheap. When they close the door on the set and the whole wall shakes, you just kind of know. Or the actors, don't get me wrong, some of them I'm sure are very good actors, but some of them don't even belong in a cornflakes commercial. They really, you know what I mean, realistically. Anyway, what I want to know this evening is, how do you think the national broadcaster should reform? It's not going anywhere and your money is funding it. So I would like to see it going to a worthy cause. I want to make sure that you believe your money is being spent well. More love, hate, more balance. I know. Something more realistic, you say. But I don't know, a little bit more kin or something like that. A bit more footy, a bit more news. Get rid of this, get rid of that. bring on more of this. I mean, what do you think RTE should do to make it value for money? The answer, petrol and a match, by the way, are not an answer in case you think it is. And I don't mean that in a literal sense. This is your show, your say. Tell us your bright ideas. If it was up to you to reform RTE and save money, because that's what it has to do. It has to be viable. To save money, what would you do? Let us know. The number is 087 188 0008. 087 188 0008. And don't get personal. All right? Just don't mention Ray Darcy. I'm joking. Let me go to John. John, how you doing? You're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
Hi, Niall. How are you? Good evening. First thing I'll do is I'd have you to host the Late Late Show.
Good. Could you imagine that? I'd have them off the air in a week.
No, but like, I mean, there has to be wage cuts.
Well, there is going, allegedly, there's going to be wage cuts with a cap on salaries for presenters of 250,000.
Like, there's no two ways about it. Like, there has to be wage cuts.
250 grand is even too much if you ask me. I mean, the industry average for national radio, right? Now, unfortunately, we only have 2 national radio stations, which is Today FM and News Talk, right? But the industry standard for national radio is somewhere between 120 and 200, depending on how good you are. So there's no one getting 250,000. So I don't know where they're getting that figure from.
True. But I believe it has to reflect. I believe it has to reflect the times that we're in as well. You know, I think that there's. I'd like to see more homegrown shows made. Mm-hmm. You were on about Ken a while ago. Now, what has been confirmed that there's a third series in production. Yeah. Maybe possibly a fourth. I'd like to see more League of Ireland matches being shown.
The only thing I will say, John, is all that costs money, and is in this part of the problem now.
Well, it is like what I mean. Like when you were a broadcaster for who were losing something like 53 million a year, a couple of years back every single year. Mm-hmm. Like there has to be wage cuts, like, because as you said yourself, like you look at the production costs and everything, like. Mm-hmm. Like for example, the Champions League games that they show on Tuesday night. Most of the commentary for the games is actually done in Dublin, and they get the feed in from BT Sport. Yeah. So
I think they have a lot of people doing the job of few, like to give you an example, you know, I used to do the daytime show, as you know, here as well. And between 3 of us, we did the 2 shows each day. There was myself and Mike and Helena at the time. And we were doing the 2 shows, which was basically 5 hours of broadcasting there was 3 of us. You know, say we take the Joe Duffy show, which is an hour and 15 minutes long. And it's a caller-based show, so it doesn't involve getting too many people on. It just involves, you know, deciding what you're going to talk about. And they've 10 people working on it. Yeah, like that's ridiculous, isn't it? It's unnecessary.
But here's the thing: like you just mentioned the show you used to do in the afternoon, which in my opinion was the best show in the country.
Thanks very much.
But at the same time, you don't have the advantage of revenue. Like,
no,
you don't have the advantage, and that's I can understand why other stations around Ireland have in the past couple of years had a dig at RTE. It's understandable, but I do believe that there has to be wage cuts, because if any company is losing money, you have to have wage cuts to sustain it.
Well, wage cuts, I always believe, unless people are being paid ridiculous money, you know, wage cuts should be a last resort, unless they're being paid ridiculous money, which they are on RTE. There should be other ways of looking to save money. And I could think of a million ways that RTE could save money, but I'm not in charge of RTE.
Yeah, going back about 10 years ago, I was at an event outside the City Hall, and I spoke to one of the cameramen who was actually there from RTE, and they were actually telling me like the amount, the little money that they're getting, like, and I was stunned. You know?
Yeah.
Like the cameraman on RTE wouldn't really be on that whole lot of money. like they wouldn't have been on the Ryan Tubridy level kind of money,
No.
or Pat Kenny when he was there. Like, but I do believe, like, anyone who's on, we say, 60, 70,000 euro a year, I don't think should be given a wage. I don't think should be given a wage cut.
No.
But I think if you're on 400,000 a year, then
Absolutely, yeah.
because
Pat Kenny, I think, was the highest ever paid person in RTE. At one point, yeah.
995,000.
What was it? It was 900 and something thousand, wasn't it, at one stage?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you see, I mean, for example, my mother watches the Late Late Show a lot, right? I don't watch it. I might watch it sometimes, depending on what guests they have. And like if they had, well, I'm not going to mention the man's name because you hate him from Dublin. I'm not going to say his name.
Who?
Who? Conor McGregor.
Oh, I don't hate the man. I just don't. I just don't admire his lifestyle. I don't hate anybody really. Well, one or two.
Like I was watching an interview there going back a few weeks back when Carl Frampton was on. And it's a very engaging interview. He spoke about his background, like, living in the loyalist community and how he grew up, like, with Catholic friends. And it's interviews like that I don't mind, because I do think Patrick Kilty is a good interviewer. I think he allows conversation to take part. I just never really liked Ryan Tubridy because I think Tubridy came across as being very smug.
You know what? I don't think Tubridy was too bad. I don't think he was the worst. I mean, I know some people didn't like him, but I don't think he was the worst. I mean, I thought where he really shone was the toy show. I thought he was brilliant at it, and he could really relate to the children and everything else. He's a bit of a, I suppose, a Peter Pan, I suppose, kind of character anyway, But I thought, I mean, I don't think he was the worst. I think Pat Kenny was probably the worst in the Late Late Show because he was too straight. And don't get me wrong, I think Pat is an excellent broadcaster. But just the Late Late Show didn't suit him.
Because he doesn't do entertainment well.
No, he doesn't. He does straight talking, using current affairs. Yeah.
But to me, I would say the best sport broadcaster I've ever seen is Bill O'Hurley.
Yeah, great. But I mean, but the problem with RT is they tend to make programs around celebrities. So they think of somebody and they go, oh, what about him or her? Let's make a program to suit them. Rather than the other way around, they're deciding on a good program and saying, okay, who are we going to get? Who's the best person for that job? For example, those two Johnny lads, no harm to them. I just don't understand the popularity of them because I don't find them funny. To me, they're just not funny. And they have a TV show now. And I dipped into it for 10 minutes one night just to see. And I swear to God, I didn't even crack a smile. It got slated in the ratings, I believe, are really bad. It got slated in the papers. It was awful.
I watched one episode of it. Like it's all kind of PC, like politically correct kind of jokes. And I didn't get anything of what they were saying was funny.
They're trying to copy the Chris Evans style show from Channel 4 many, many, many years ago, which was called the Late Late Breakfast Show or something similar to that. Or
Chris
whatever.
Evans was in a league.
Oh no, it wasn't a Late Breakfast Show. What was the Chris Evans show called? Thank God It's Friday or something. It's Friday.
I think it's The Big Breakfast, wasn't it?
Was it
with Kelly Brooks?
Yeah, it was on the afternoon on a Friday or something like that, and they're trying to copy that kind of format, but. The two Johnnies, I mean, their podcast is okay, I believe. But I mean, I just don't find them funny or entertaining. They're not TV personalities. I don't get it. I don't get the popularity. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't want to focus on one individual show or one individual thing. But there are many things they could do to cut costs in RTE. And John, you don't believe they're doing it?
No. I think that you have to cut the cloth accordingly because you have to be sustainable in the long run. If a station is losing money, there has to be wage cuts.
Yeah, well, media is changing. I mean, the world is changing. The way we operate television and radio and media in general is changing, and you have to change with the times. And I don't believe RTE are doing that. Stay there for a second, John. Let me go to Dave. Dave, hi, how are you?
What's crack?
What's crack, Dave? I don't know whether you watched Kevin Backhurst on RTE tonight on the news, ironically enough, on the station.
I didn't know.
I thought the face he made at the end. Somebody, by the way, says, no, that face he made at the end, that's his normal face. And I went, oh, okay.
Was it kind of like that face you make at your child when they embarrass you in front of someone?
It's
You know,
that kind of
you're-
face. He went from a
you're
kind of
smiling at them.
yeah.
Yeah, you're smiling at them, and then the person looks away, and you look at your kid, and you bare your teeth, and you're like, you're fucking dead. when you get
Yeah,
older.
it was something. It
Yeah.
was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't realise
I know
the
young
camera
fella
was
be
still
well
on him.
acquainted with that look.
Yeah. So the other thing is, okay, back to RTE. Do you think they're doing enough to save money?
So I'm trying to think of something more eloquent than just saying call them a shower of bastards. To be honest, I don't normally get mad when I hear stuff like this. Because I think we've all become kind of apathetic when it comes to hearing how money is squandered in this country. But I actually genuinely got under my skin when I heard it and I looked it up. Like, they're like, oh, we're hemorrhaging money. Look at how we're pissing taxpayers' money up against the wall. What are we going to do? I know, lads. We'll give them a shitload more money. Like, it's
56 million they're going to give them.
It's fucking infuriating. Like, I know kids that need to be seen by cams. I know people who need healthcare done, and yet, I'll tell you what we're going to do, lads. We're not going to help you out. We're going to give RC money so Ray Darcy can finally afford that solid gold toilet seat that he's always wanted. Genuinely, like it's taking a piss now at this point. It really is.
Well, they did say they're going to cut broadcasters' wages to 250,000. Now they can only do that. Now you know what I mean. They can only do that once their contract ends. Yeah.
Oh, the poor crazy. They can only earn up to $250,000 a year.
Plus
Jesus,
plus expenses.
Plus expense. How are they going to survive? Jesus Christ, you're going to see the likes of Joe Duffy and Ray, and they're all going to be sitting out there on O'Connell Street with their cups in their hands. For fuck's sake, would you stop? Jesus Christ, who makes up these rules? Honestly, like.
But okay, and then let me. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here, okay?
Oh, piss the look.
Okay, it's a really tough one to be impartial on. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, this should be good.
But if you look at the BBC or ITV or Channel 4 or any of the big TV stations in the UK, presenters are paid a pretty good wage. It's a good paying job.
Okay, but I will counter that with, first of all, the license fee. They have the license fee in England. I think is mandatory to pay, isn't it?
Well, it's mandatory to pay here too, but people are not paying anymore.
Right. They also have a way higher population than us, and look at the quality of programming they put out. Okay, and they didn't do it overnight. Some of the best science fiction I've ever seen came from the BBC. From BBC shows. They used to have a show years ago called Horizon. It was a science show. One of the best science shows I ever said. Remember they used to do Stargazing Live with Brian Cox and what's his name? The Irish comedian.
Well, it was Patrick Moore before Brian Cox. But
Patrick Moore did The Sky at Night, one of the best science shows television has ever seen, and it was a crusty old man with a monocle sitting in the chair saying, "Lads, look at the night sky. Look at that planet. Isn't that planet lovely?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the quality was there. You know what I mean? Before the money was. Do you get me? Like the talent was there. They weren't just like throwing millions against the wall. Like it wasn't like, Patrick Moore sitting in the chair and like CGI behind him flying through the galaxy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They event like some of my all-time favorite movies and TV shows are like 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s science fiction. And
I used to love Tomorrow's World, actually. Tomorrow's World on BBC was excellent.
Again, I grew up watching that shit. I love that kind of stuff because they were able to tap into people's imagination. You know what I mean? That little spark that human beings have that makes us wonder, what else is out there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were able to tap into that. They weren't just like, look at all this like CG stuff. Like Doctor Who. Doctor Who, hands down, one of the greatest shows on television. I'll fight anybody who says otherwise. Look at the early Doctor Who. Look at how woeful the special effects were. But it wasn't the special effects that got people. It was the storytelling.
Exterminate.
Yeah, like the Daleks. Like, one of the most terrifying alien creatures you've ever seen on TV. And one of their appendages is a fucking plunger.
Right, yeah.
Like, RT, like, they've been suckling at the teeth of the state for so long that, like, all the talent has left the country. Like, I remember it would have been like a Monday or Tuesday night. Do you know what I mean? And like RT2 used to be brilliant. You had the panel, you had naked camera, you had Podge and Raj. Podge and Raj. It was a 10-minute show with two puppets. Scare Bedtime, one of the best shows they ever produced. The Den was absolutely fantastic. Like there's a lot of talent contained within this country. Like there's an animation studio in Kilkenny. They're one of the few. I think they're probably nearly the only studio nowadays that still do like the hand-drawn 2D animation. That's an untapped resource. Like you have to realize, like Americans in particular, right? There's a lot of other countries around the world that are, mad about like Irish history, mythology, fairy tales, all that kind of stuff. We could be selling that stuff abroad and they would be lapping it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We could be making documentaries about Irish history. You could be doing stuff like, Irish TV travel shows, places in Ireland there's a lot contained within this country. There's a lot of great stories, historical stories, like I said. Like
I'm with you. And what you're telling me here is very true. They need to look from the bottom right back up to the top again and start reproducing programs, good programming, get somebody in who knows what good programming is.
We have no problem doing the old paddy whackery thing and selling ourselves to the Yanks every summer with our Aaron jumpers and, come down here and pay me a tenner, I'll show you a leprechaun crossing. Why can't we monetize it? No, but genuinely, why can't we monetize on that? You know what I mean? Start selling it to people.
Okay, so but how are they? How are they going to save money without them going with cap in hand to government every year? I'm going to throw a few ideas out there. Okay, firstly, 2FM needs to go. It needs to be privatised, sold off, Bauer or somebody will buy it, or Virgin or somebody will buy the bloody thing, right? The 2FM was originally open because at the time all we had was RTÉ Radio 1. There were no other radio stations in Ireland apart from pirate radio stations. So it was open to service a youth market. There are now numerous radio stations, including iRadio, Spin Radio, all those radio stations all over the country are now licensed to tap into that market. And it's unnecessary. It's not public service. I'm gonna really annoy people now and say Lyric FM. Lyric FM, of course, is classical music and easy listening music for an older demographic. I'm pretty sure there is somebody out there in the private market will happily take it, make a few quid out of it every year. They've got a small market share, but enough to make a few bit of money out of it. They're getting rid of all the DAB stations, which is good because DAB never worked in Ireland, never took off. The RTE Gold, digital, all that kind of stuff didn't work. So that was a complete way. There you go. You don't even know what it is. Most Irish people have no idea how to even listen to RTE Gold or how to listen to RTE Junior or RTE. What's the other digital dancey one they have? Transy Wancy, or I don't know what it is. Nobody listens to it. So there's DJs on it. There's people being paid to work on these stations, and nobody's actually listening to them. Now, as far as I know, they're getting rid of all those anyway. That's fine. So nobody listens to them anyway. Very few people. So you can't have radio that nobody's listening to unless it's public service, like Radio na Gaeltacht. Not very many people listen to it, but it is public service.
Yeah, but if you look at, like, we take the BBC for an example again, right? The BBC World Service, I consider myself a bit of an audio junkie, and I love the BBC World Service. They do everything from comedy,
makes money,
to documentaries, to podcasts. Yeah, no, they do, but they put out quality programming.
But it's making money. It's sustainable and it makes money. That's the whole point. I mean, the BBC have been making money for years. The biggest money makers in the BBC, the biggest money maker ever in the BBC, do you know what it was?
Blue Peter.
Life on Earth, David Attenborough. Second biggest money maker they ever had was Top Gear. After that, I don't know whether they sold Blue Peter around the world, but they sold those other two shows around the world, and they've made billions out of them because there's DVDs and VDs. Doctor Who
probably makes them a lot of money because that's in America as well. You BBC America. See what I mean? BBC America. Why can't we have RTE America? You know, they're making bollocks of it anyway. No, honestly, but they do. Like, this country, and don't get me wrong, I love where I live. I would never live anywhere else. I genuinely wouldn't. But one thing that pisses me off big time is we reward ineptitude in this country. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like me coming home from the shop and saying, Killian, why is the house on fire? Do you know, don't worry about it. Here's a PS5. Do you know? Like, they need to be cut off. Just cut them off. You're not getting any more money. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. And if you don't stand on your own 2 feet, let the whole thing collapse and we'll rebuild it from the ground up. Like, is it really going to be that much of a detriment to the country if RT folds? You know, get rid of the nepotism as well, because it's the same.
Well, I think it would be sad to see RT fold. I don't want to see that happening either. You know what I mean?
No, but see, here's the thing though, right? When your feet are held to the fire, you're going to be like, oh, shit, lads, we better do something here or we're out of a job.
Okay, well, hang on, Dave. Stay there for just a second. Let me go to Niamh as well. Niamh, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Niall, how are you?
Two alphalas having a rant in a bar. Myself and Dave, that could be a show in itself.
Hey, I'm not old.
The two Johnnies.
Well, it'd be better than the Two Johnnies. Have you watched that program, the Two Johnnies?
And no, I've been lucky enough to avoid it purposely.
I just saw 10 minutes of it. It happened. I was switching through channels, and there it appeared on the screen, and I stopped and said, "I'll give this 10 minutes to see." It was. I don't know where I'm going to get that 10 minutes back again in my life, but it was absolutely awful. But look, it's fair play to the lads. They're doing well. You know,
They're two boys from Tips, right, Mark?
Yeah, no, I'm saying that, Dave. Well done to them, and fair play to them.
Yeah.
I just don't find them funny. Right? That's just me.
No, not my bag.
It's acquired
Don't
taste.
what it is they're relatable. Like the Two Johnnies are like they're like two lads you meet down the pub that you get a bit of crack on. That's why people like them.
Right, okay.
Do you know how they save RTE? Give Blind Boy Boat Club his own TV show.
Oh no! Oh, a fella with a plastic bag on his head. He'd having a laugh.
Oh, tell you,
No, actually, no. You need to listen to him. Listen to him talking.
Yeah, but that's not his real accent, by the way. You do know that. He doesn't actually talk like that in real life.
I just said that to get a rise out of you and
I know you did, Dave. Yeah, sorry, Nate.
I actually thought I thought he was very good.
We just stopped on that.
No. When he talks about depression and stuff, he's actually when he's not messing and he's being serious, he's a very interesting guy to listen to. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, sorry. I will. Let's move on to from Blind Boy. I just can't take a man seriously who has a plastic bag on his head, a JC's supermarket bag on his head. Sorry, Niamh, how do we solve the problem of giving RTE 56 million of taxpayers' money?
Tell them to stop with the bloody repetition. If you listen to, because I'm old now, I've migrated over to RT1, right?
Yeah.
You listen to RT1, so you start at 7 o'clock, you've got Morning Ireland, they talk about the news. Then you've got that stupid filler hour that Ryan Tubridy used to do that nobody seems to want. And that's just a book launching session. And then you have Claire Byrne talking about what they talked about on Morning Ireland. And then you have Joe Duffy with people coming on giving out about what Claire Byrne and Morning Ireland talked about. Until you get to that second Ray Darcy in the afternoon, it's all the same crap.
What's that all about?
All talking the same stuff. So Morning Ireland talk about the state of the nation. Claire Byrne brings on people to talk about the state of the nation. And Joe Duffy brings on people to get out about the state of the nation. It's total repetition.
We need to go meet for our own TV show.
Yeah, we give Niamh as a guest on the Late Late Show.
No, this is why I would never be let on Gogglebox. They wouldn't let me on.
And then hold on, you mentioned the Ray Darcy show, which is just flung in the middle there, right? Because there's another news show on after, which is Drive Time on after the Ray Darcy show, right?
Who give out about Ray Darcy?
Yeah, what is the Ray Darcy show actually about? He talks awkwardly for 10 minutes at the start about something that means nothing. Then he does this really awkward quiz, and later on, and it's kind of, do you want the 5-second clip or the 4-second clip? And it's kind of going, oh my God.
He's like a male version of Where in the World with Teresa Lowe years ago. Please stop, Ray, just shut up. No,
right, so here's the thing, but how do you save money, Niamh? How do we get rid of all of that?
Well, you could get rid of one of them. I mean, Claire Byrne's costing them a blooming fortune. The only time she saved some money was on a taxi when she was in her shed.
but she is good. She is good,
yes,
isn't
but
she?
She's just talking about the same stuff. Like, we've all heard the news. So you normally get a politician on the news, and she'll get the same lad on to repeat himself. Yeah. Because she wants to have a go. So it's a lot of repetition. So perhaps they could save, not necessarily save money, but more people might pay if they actually had something decent on. Like, there used to be better stuff on. Like, even like what Dave was saying, back in the day, like when we were growing up, and we had Zig and Zag and we had The Den. Now, I know it was supposed to be for kids, but we all watched it. Then you had Pod and Rog. They were funny. Network 2 or RT2 or whatever they're blooming calling it now, it's just shite. It's either Australian soaps, or it's some weird movie that you probably aren't going to watch, or it's one of these new things they're doing, these shorts, which is all very woke.
Right. I haven't watched it. I've never watched 2FM. Can't say I've ever watched it. Or not 2FM. What's it called? RT2. Never watched.
RT2. But it's all RT2 is like the woke version of RT1.
Right, it's like it's
So
woke
if you
sister.
don't want to watch a week from the Pound Championships or Down on the Farm, which they did for a week, which is
Right.
great, but they're very insular. They tend to appeal to one group of people.
Okay,
So
let's.
they do-
By the way, sorry for interrupting you both, right, Dave and Neve. And before I come to Ross and Jude, we haven't mentioned the elephant in the room yet.
What's that?
Dave,
Well,
the elephant in the room. We haven't mentioned it once.
elephant. What elephant?
What elephant?
Is that Sydney failed fat joke? It's up yours if it is.
No, Fair
Oh,
City,
what?
Fair City,
What
Fair,
elephant?
Fair
Oh.
City.
That's not the
Fair
elephant in the
City?
room. That's the fucking dead elephant in the room. Fair
Even
City
the
were
actors
good
on Fair
actors.
City look embarrassed.
Like Keith Duffy,
They
I've seen
look
Keith
bored.
Duffy on Coronation Street, and he was a good actor. Then he went to Fair City, and you're like, listen, he's not the worst. He's a fierce, nice fella, do you know? But then he goes to Fair City, and you see him acting, and you're like, did somebody like shoot him with a tranquilizer dart before they started recording him, or do you know?
Fair City's
I
Fair
mean-
City's big storyline was you won in a box for a year.
Who is in a box?
They put was it Lucy in a box. She was kidnapped, and they put her in a box. The box was 2 minutes away from Dolores, who was in her second house, and she was locked in there for a year. And they let that storyline run on for a year.
A year? How can you hide someone in a box for a year?
Well, she wasn't in a box, but she was in like a room, but it was shaped like a box. It was very small, and she was
I would
kidnapped and
rather
put in
be-
there.
I'd rather be locked in a box for a year than have to watch that utter dribble. Like, lads, we're also forgetting, right? Like, this is like the same, like, station company, whatever you want to call them, that gave us Glen Rowe. That gave the nation, you know, the catchphrase, "Oh, holy God," says Miley.
Yeah.
And yet it's descended to Fair City. Do you know? I mean,
Cause
even the
PTSD for
catchphrase
children
makes me wanna
everywhere.
puke.
But I mean, what I don't understand is why Fair City is so bad when you compare it to the previous things that we've done. Like you mentioned, Glenroe. Okay, for its time, you know, it was good.
It was grand.
It was popular. So how do we go from that to something that's really crass and cheap? And when you close the door, the whole set shakes and you know what I mean?
Because it's a gravy train. Because it's like if you're the Minister for Health, it doesn't matter if you do a piss poor job, you're still getting paid.
Stay okay. Stay there, both of you. Let me go to Ross. Let's come to Jude as well. Ross, hi. How are you?
Niall, how's things?
Good, Ross. Nice to talk to you.
A long time since I was on.
It is been a while, Ross. You've been hanging. What's the story?
Absolutely.
Where's Aoife?
She's out there. She's running.
Oh, I thought you were
around
going to say it was all off or something. Yeah, go on.
No. She's still hanging in there, Niall. Still
Okay.
hanging in there.
Ross, how do you feel about 56 million of your taxpayers' money going to RTE?
I think it's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I didn't think I was going to find someone to agree with it tonight, mind you, but go on.
No, not a hope. Like, let's be honest about it, right? Like, can you save RTE? I don't think you can. Like, it's been, for as far as I know anyway, for the last number of years, anyone that, even before the whole scandal came out, anyone I've ever talked to, like, you know, will always say there's never anything on it. It's always shite. Or you might get the odd show here and there that's good. People I know anyway might feel nice to watch Keane.
Yeah, but that would be unfair to say because it's not always shite. You know what I mean?
Well, lately, since the scandal, what I've noticed anyway, if you go on to RTE and you go on to A to Z listens and you're looking for a certain programme, 9 times out of 10, nearly every second programme you go by has Patrick Healy's face on it.
It's not the worst looking face in the world, is it really? You know?
Well, no, but it just goes to show you, they're running out of people to employ. Pretty much. That's the way I fucking see it. You know, like there was people there with the whole scandal and everything else, there's people who actually walked away from Noel Kelly's agency when nothing was going to come out about them at all. I'm not going to say any names, but there was a certain few who decided to just, you know, walk away. And,
we get out when the going's good, like, yeah, of course, yeah.
Saving their own career, you know. It's like, I haven't seen Pete Duffy on anything, you know, in a long time. He basically tried to keep himself relatable by setting up boys like with Brian McFadden, another fucking pipeline dream, I think.
Have you seen those two singing on stage?
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'd rather watch Pink try.
Have you seen, it's like two drunk young fellas in a pub.
Oh my God! Like karaoke night in fucking Medina. That's exactly what. It's fucking Jesus. And to be honest with you, actually, Duffy's hire company, I deal with that on a daily basis, and to be honest, he's quite good at that. So maybe you should just stick with that. To be honest with you.
I've bought tyres from Tyreland a few times, by the way. They're good value, by the way. Can I point out? And I love ringing. If you ring Tyreland, you always get the answer machine. How are you, buddies? Keith Duffy here.
How are you, buddies? No, I give you a gas one, right? Here's a hilarious one. I was in work one day. We get a briefing every morning in work, and the manager was out there basically saying, "Now, lads, everybody kind of be on the ball today. There'll be someone really famous coming in." And we're like, "Who?" "Oh, we can't say." Turns out it was Keith Duffy, right? And I said, "The who you were on about that was really famous. We're all going to be flocking to." Yeah, but you're totally fucking wrong there. Anyway, not one person went near the man.
Yeah, I know he owns Tyreland. But anyway, getting back to RTE, is there? So you say there's no hope for it at all, Ross?
I don't think so. In my own personal opinion, I think that.
But that would be sad because I mean, look, they do have some good programming. I mean, it's all easy for us. It's easy for us all to have a laugh and slag them off and everything else, right? But like Primetime Investigates have really exposed a lot of bad stuff over the last 20 years that we wouldn't have known about. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Brian Dobson's a good newsreader as well. You know, and I'm not too au fait with the rest of them. I don't even know their names, to be honest, because I don't watch the news in RT very much these days. But Dobbo was great, you know what I mean? What else is good about RTA? Oh, sport. I'm not into sport, but I believe people who are into sport, you know, they've good sports coverage, live coverage of events.
Heavily invested in the gas section of it, definitely, Niall, 100%.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, that's public service. You're not going to get classic hits doing that because we couldn't afford to do it. So what I'm saying is, you know, there has to be money invested to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but if these, you know, like small minority things over everything else that they broadcast is the only thing keeping it alive, you're basically you're throwing money at something that, how long is it going to last is the question that you say to yourself, you know what I mean?
But see, you got to understand the landscape has changed. The landscape has changed drastically over particularly the last 5 years, you know, with all the new subscription services like Netflix and everything else. Yeah. And television stations have to move with the times. RTE is not moving with the times. You know, you could easily bring out different programming and make it subscription or whatever it is to make a bit of extra money on the side, or they could do, there's a lot of stuff they could do.
And logically, Niall, like you had said earlier on about, you know, the three of you had basically, you know, broadcasted a 5-hour show every single day. And RTE have 10 people
for a 1-hour show.
Joe Duffy's show. I don't know how Joe Duffy even still has a show, is beyond me. But anyway.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Light Line.
Oh, drives you mad. Jesus Christ. How are you, Agnes?
He always starts the same way. So, good afternoon and welcome to the Live Line. Mary, you were in a taxi. What happened to you?
like you were saying now, right? There's no need to have that job on that one show. And I know it was something that was suggested, or it was speculation, something that was brought out a couple of months back, that RTE may become a subscription-based service. But logically, I think that's probably the road they're better off going down.
Okay, we'll stay there for a second. Let me just get Jude in before the break. Hey, Jude. Sorry, Jude.
Hey, Niall.
Hey, Jude. Nice to talk to you. Jude.
Good.
Go ahead.
I would gladly pay twice the licence fee, 3 times it, if they just got rid of Fairly Shitty. I would be glad knowing that at least licence fees money isn't going to that cheap, vapid, vacuous shit.
Okay, I get the point. You hate it. Okay.
And to get rid of staff, what they should do is get rid of the cast off that, because they're posing as actors. They're not even real actors.
Some of them are good actors. It's just maybe not a good show.
No, they're not. Seriously, they're not. But they should. And I think that's one way of clearing some of their finances, is to just get rid of Fairly Shitty.
Right, okay. Yeah. I don't know.
My wife is...
She watches it,
My wife is a really... she's a really intelligent woman. But when I see her watching that, sometimes I question our relationship, because she is an intelligent woman.
You do start to question your relationship together when you see her watching it, is it?
Could she watch this? Like, I just don't get it, and it's just so vacuous.
But there are people who watch it. You know what I mean? And
I know, and some people are easily pleased.
Yeah.
Some people, they're willing to accept, mediocrity. They are. They're willing to accept it, but I just think it is absolute. That's one way of just clearing the decks of some of the dead weight and finances.
Now, I don't know, I don't have the figures to hand, whether it pays for itself, i.e. the advertising that runs around it. I doubt it does. Unlike, say, Coronation Street or EastEnders, which probably do pay for themselves. And
they're probably syndicated around the world, like
well, they are.
They are syndicated.
Syndicate those. Yeah, you wouldn't be syndicating Fair City. You know what I mean?
You couldn't even expect people to even accept it.
But in saying that, I've dipped into Fair City and I've watched it for 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, just to see how bad it can get. And when you look at the difference between that and Coronation Street, there's a massive difference in the quality of the programs and the storylines and everything.
With Fairly City, the barrel is so far scraped. There's nothing left to scrape. I wouldn't even say there's a bottom left of the barrel. It's been scraped that much.
Is there anything else in RTE that you would believe we should change to save money?
Yes, more quality programs. The repeats. They're constantly doing repeats. You look at the TV scheduling, that lady there in Eve said it. There's nothing new. It's all constantly repeats. And then the standard of the people presenting some of the programs that they don't repeat are absolutely brutal. Now, their news coverage is very good. It is. I will give them that.
Okay. Well, it depends on what you want from a news station. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. But it's just the quality of service, no syndication. That's Niamh and the other gentleman there who's a Sky fan, they should be actually put on as directors of RTE, because most of their points actually are absolutely brilliant points.
A Boyzone fan. I don't think Ross is a Boyzone fan, but yeah, he was talking about Boys Life, which is Keith Duffy and that other fella, McFadden.
Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime Talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.
McCarthy Insurance Group, serving the community for over 70 years. For home, farm, motor, life, health and business insurance, log on to mig.ie or free phone 1800 50 11 11. Probably your best call in 2024. Charles McCarthy Insurance is trading as McCarthy Insurance Group, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.